Welcome to The Week Ahead, a podcast by SBM Intelligence. I'm your host, Veronica Pana Igube. Every Saturday, we explore stories that are shaping our continent. On today's episode, we begin in Southern Africa, where Botswana is undergoing a historic political shift. After 58 years of Botswana's Democratic Party rule, the country has elected opposition candidate Duma Boko of the Umbrella for Democratic Change and as its new president. We will explore the implications of his victory for Botswana's future and the broader political impact on the UDC's parliamentary win. Then we'll move to Nigeria, where we discuss how 32 out of Nigeria's 36 states rely on federal allocations for over 55% of their revenue, with Lagos and Rivers being exceptions. We explore the impact of this dependency on state economies, how other states can increase internal revenue, and the challenges President Tinubu may face in passing the tax reform bill amid oppositions from the Northern States Governors Forum. Finally, we will discuss the 60% drop in foreign travels in Nigeria, with passenger numbers at key airports in Lagos and Abuja falling sharply due to the high cost of foreign currencies, especially the US dollar. This has made international travel increasingly expensive for Nigerians. We will explore the potential impact on Nigeria's aviation industry, how Nigerians may adapt, and what the government can do to address these current changes. Joining us today for further insights is Seyi Owojulube, a policy analyst at SBM Intelligence. Welcome, Seyi.
Hello, Veronica.
So let's start with Botswana. How does Duma's victory reflect the growing discontent with the Botswana's Democratic Party's rule? And what does this signal about the future of political power in the country?
Well, what has happened in Botswana is what is common in single resource economies. And what I mean by that is countries that depend on a single resource. In Botswana's case, it's the diamond, right? In Nigeria, a large portion is of our income is from crude oil, but we're speaking about Botswana today. So after 58 years in power, the ruling party, that's the Botswana Democratic Party, has been unseated, and the opposition is now the person in charge, the party in charge, if I may put it like that. So what has really happened is that the economic challenges that Botswana has been facing recently played a huge role in the election because Botswanans, people want to see something different. The economy has slowed, the job opportunities have been limited within the economy. Even the social services that were traditionally funded by the government, allocations to those services have reduced. So the people want something different. They want to see how things can be better or different and how they can grow the economy. So, and what this has painted is something that is similar to what happened in Nigeria 2023 election, and even what happened in Senegal, where in the case of Senegal, we've seen the emergence of Africa's youngest president or Africa's youngest ruler. And in Nigeria, we saw that a large demographic of the voting population pitched their tent with a candidate other than those presented by the two major political parties in the country. So it's more of a situation where people want a change from the norm. People want to be interested new voters are coming on board and they want to make sure that their voices are heard.
Interesting. I mean, you stated that people want change, citizens want change, and we have like Botswana. It's one of the countries that we're seeing it, and you mentioned Senegal, and we're seeing this change. So I would like to know, like, what do you think would happen to other countries that are having presidents that have also stayed a long time? Do you think we're going to also see the continuous trend where, like you said, we have new voters coming in, they want to have their voices heard, especially the younger generation that are coming in? So what do you think that are we going to see a new wave like in countries like Uganda? Is there going to be a change where we see more young leaders or more opposition parties taking and winning power?
Certainly, because Africa has not been shielded from uh, global inflation. In fact, we've been hit worse than countries in the global north. Yes, if I may put it like that. So, because of our dependency on imports, because of our low level of industrialization, and because of dependency also on foreign aid and all of that. So, issues like the war in Ukraine, what is going on in Israel and Palestine, those have affected commodity prices. Um, for a country like Nigeria that is dependent on crude oil from green energy, is also affecting what foreign investment can flow into the crude oil sector. Now, for other countries, you've mentioned Uganda. There's also Equatorial Guinea, where the president or the leaders have been in power for a very long time. One thing is certain is that as young voters come on board, there is a shift in the voting structure. So while the older generation who have typically voted can remember that 20 years ago, things were good under this leader or under President X. And so we believe that President X, if given a chance, can deliver once again. The younger generation don't have those memories. They just know that things are bad in my country and I want there to be a change. So certainly, did you hear me?
Interesting. Very, very, very insightful thoughts. So let's move down to Nigeria, where we're seeing the discussions on the FAC allocation and state dependencies. What are the long-term implications for Nigeria and the 32 states depending on federal allocations for over 55% of their revenue? And is this model sustainable? What are your thoughts on this?
For starters, the model is not sustainable. The states are small federating units, right? So they are governments on their own. They can make laws, they can take loans, even from external bodies with approval from the federal government, and they should certainly generate revenue because they also employ they it has the states in Nigeria have their own workforce. But what we're seeing in the case of Nigeria, Nigeria, or should I say, let me start from the beginning. Before 1960, we had a regional style where we had four regions, the Western region, and all of that, right? But it, people thought, or the argument then was that development should be brought closer to the people. And that's why they began to create states and went from 12 states to 19 to 21 to 30 and to 36 where we are today. But that has not helped Nigeria's case in any way, right? So what we have now is that we have states who know that at the end of the month, funds will certainly come in from the federal government, whether or not they generate enough revenue, right? And you have states that are now dependent on the efforts made by other states because this revenue that, or this money that's shared by FAC, it's not just only from crude oil, it's from other revenue generated from other states. So states like Lagos, states like Rivers, they record high IGR numbers, right? So, and some of this is now taking over to Abuja to be shared amongst 36 states. And so, because these states know that there will always be a form of bailout at the end of the month, there isn't motivation to do more, right? And what just to, I don't know, to say how can they improve? Usually it's that they should make laws, they should make their environment business friendly, right? They should invest in infrastructure. That's how to attract foreign investments, because it's the foreign investments that come in, or even local investments that come in, that will translate into jobs, that will translate when those people are employed, they can earn money and pay taxes to the government, and the government can use that to generate revenue. So it's a cycle. But when states cannot attract investment, or this, for example, a state like Osun, a state like Ekiti, even though Ekiti has been trying to make some efforts in recent times in terms of attracting foreign investment. When you have states like that, states like Taraba, it's the investors are not motivated to go into those states. Rather, they will stick to places like Lagos, where the infrastructure already exists. And so Lagos continues to be the best in the class because other states are not performing well.
Yeah, great thoughts, Shay. So, just listening to your explanation and your analysis of the issue, do you think there's a way that states who are making lots of revenue can support states that are not by sharing their own experiences, their own successes for other states to be able to adapt? Because at the end of the day, if there's no sharing or if there's no communications or collaborations between these states, then doesn't it go that the circle continues? So it's just like, I support you so that we bring up the revenue. And also, how do the Nigerian's federal state relations impact the economic autonomy of individual states? And what changes could be made to empower other states? I mean, it also boils down to, how do we empower other states to be able to see that we leave this dependency behind?
So a major problem with Nigeria and how the state governs is that politics is a big problem, right? Politics is a problem. Best example of the data refinery. Can you hear me? Okay. So a major problem with how states are governed in Nigeria is politics. So let's take the example of the Dangote refinery. That refinery was not originally supposed to be located in Lagos or even in the southwest. But because of some challenges, the proposed location was moved to Ogun State before it was finally sited in Lagos. That is a missed opportunity for several states, for states in Nigeria South, because it would have made sense for such a project to be sited close to where the raw materials are, right? Because when you talk about the principles of uh, business or entrepreneurship, you consider land, you consider labor, even though you can say Lagos has the labor because of its large population, but Lagos did not have the land, right? In the case of the Dangote refinery. So land, labor, capital, then raw materials. So when you talk about the land, when you talk about the raw materials, and Dangote already had the capital. So that refinery could have been sited in any other state apart from Lagos. But because of politics and because of infrastructural deficiencies, that project had to be sited in Lagos, right? So it's not really about whether states that are doing well need to share thoughts or share ideas with other states. They already do that to some extent. But it's about the political will to make things work out. It's about making sure that your population, for example, is educated, because when these investments come in, they would need skilled labor, right? That can help to sustain or help to run their operation. There is also need for the infrastructure, the hard infrastructure, roads, electricity, and all of that. There's also need for healthcare. Those are some of the conversations that governors need to have, so that when they're talking about IGR is not IGR is not just about IGR is not about it's not just about making money. It's a circle. So you need to invest in your population. You need to invest in your infrastructure for you to generate revenue. That's how it works. So that they are not just waiting for facts to deliver to them.
Okay, thank you for that, Chi. So now we're facing like the president wants to have a reform um, for taxes, and we're seeing a pushback from northern state governors, especially the Northern State Governors Forum. What do you think are the potential consequences of this pushback to President Tinubu's tax reform, and how might it shape the future of Nigeria's fiscal policy?
To begin with, Nigeria's current tax system does not work, right? And so that's why you hear people say that it doesn't make sense that, so on two legs, right? Number one, they will say, if, for example, Nigerian breweries cannot sell its beer in Kano, but it can sell its beer in, this is not to pass pass any state in bad light. I'm just giving an example, right? If Nigerian breweries cannot sell its beer in Kano, but it can sell its beer in Lagos, and Lagos generates VAT and sales tax and whatever other kind of tax.
Sure, go ahead.
One thing that is sure is that Nigeria's current tax system and the revenue sharing system does not work. So not to cast anybody in a bad light, for example, a state can know with its ITBA and Sharia laws will say that you cannot sell beer in Kano, but beer is acceptable in Lagos. And when that beer is sold in Lagos, Lagos generates IGR from that beer, from the sale of that product, right? Whatever VAT that Lagos has accrued from there is taken to Abuja and then shared, and Kano gets a share in it. That's one leg of the argument why people say the current revenue sharing formula, they they are not motivated to do more. Like like I was saying earlier, they are not motivated to do more. So they wait at the end of the month and they know that FAC will deliver money to them, right? So that's like two examples of the current system cannot work. So what's the argument of the northern governors at this moment? The argument, the argument of the northern governors at this time is that if that So what the government is proposing is that the states where the items are produced, in the case of VAT, should get more when VAT is being shared, rather than just sharing it based on population, land mass, and all of that is currently being used. And the government is saying no, let the states where those items are produced get VAT. But the northern governors are then saying, if you are only giving a preference to states where the items are produced, what about the states where those items are consumed? Coca-Cola has its plant in Lagos, right? Produced in Lagos, but maybe more consumed in Kano. Going by the government's current proposal, it means that Lagos will have a larger share of the VAT rather than Kano, where the product is consumed. So that's the argument. But one thing that is sure is that something has changed. And the fact that we're currently having this kind of conversation in Nigeria is good for the system, because we can then ask the tough question and the necessary change and do.
So yes, I mean, your insights were really, really like educative and informative. So one thing I would like to go from what you said the system present that we have doesn't work. So what suggestions do you think would work, or what do you think our government can explore
Made
to
to
make it
make
better?
our
Yes.
tax system more initially, then think of new ways to generate revenue if they know that they will. Veronica,
Yes, I can hear you.
okay, I was done.
No, I was asking, like, what do you suggest moving forward? Because you said the system doesn't work at the moment the way it is. So what do you suggest that we can change and the government can adapt to make it work of the present system?
Well, currently, this whole conversation about whether more of VAT proceeds should be given to the point of production rather than the point of consumption is good. The Taiwo Yedele Committee has made its recommendations to the government. So it is left for the government, that's the federal government, the House of Assembly, and the National Assembly, I meant to say, and the governors to reach a consensus on how they will go forward. But one thing is sure, and that's the current system. If a change system will cause the start thinking of ways to improve the IDR situation in their state. And that's what Nigeria currently needs.
Okay, let's move on to our final story, where Nigeria has witnessed a decline in foreign travels. Um, how we've seen a 60% drop in our foreign travels. How do you think the aviation sector can respond to this? And what might this mean for airline companies and related industries that work in this sector?
So, what the numbers show is that the aviation sector in Nigeria is not shielded from Nigeria's economic challenges. So, because of the devaluation of the naira, because of how the economy has turned out in the past 1 year, the prices of things are at a record high, and that includes ticket prices, right? So, so one thing that the not shown is that Nigeria is not shielded or is not left out of whatever economic challenges Nigeria is suffering. where the economy has turned out and the currency devaluation, the price the price of everything is at a record high, and that includes ticket prices. And so that's why we're seeing this drop. Before now, Nigeria's aviation sector has enjoyed, right now, the way things have turned out and the inflation in the country, even travel is now becoming too expensive for in the it's said that most airlines imagine the added level of pressure that is currently going on in the domestic sense. They no longer have patch refreshment. Now it's rather biscuits and water or something, not like juice or something like as it used to be before. So that segment is definitely under a lot of pressure. Ticket prices in some instances are driven by over 40. No surprise, or it does not come as a surprise that we will see this kind of decline in patronage.
Yeah, so you've spoken about how the companies are adapting, and you're already seeing how they're adapting as well as how it has affected the number of people traveling. But what strategies do you think that Nigerians can adopt to cope with the rising cost of international travels? And how might this trend change their traveling habits in the coming years? Do you think that people are going to look for other options and industries will respond to other options to be able to still push in travel and allow people to pump in a lot of resources into the industry as well and allow people to travel?
So the solution to this will not come from one part of the economy, right? So it's not just going to be Nigerians who will try to adapt. It's also going to be the government. It's also going to be the airline operators, right? From the government side, in recent times, Festus Keyamo as Minister for Aviation has been trying to assist the airlines. So before now, Nigeria was locked out of the foreign aircraft leasing markets because the insurance premium was just too high. And they felt like Nigerian airlines could not afford to maintain the the money was just they with some negotiation from the the minister. Now Nigerian airlines can lease rather than buy. So if they can lease aircraft from foreign companies rather than having to take loans to buy, that means the cost of operating an airline business in Nigeria is gradually reducing. 2 days ago, or was it yesterday, the minister shared on his handle that he was meeting with the Nigerian Insurance Association to try to see a way to come up with insurance cover to meet the demands of these foreign aircraft leasers, right? So that's one thing that's going on from the government side. Um, Before now, there's been complaints about the multiple taxes that airlines have to pay and how taxes form a major chunk of the prices that people pay for tickets. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there could be some talks around that to to see how the taxes can be restructured to allow airlines get some breathing room, right? That's another leg of the conversation. For Nigerians, it's for now, people are still trying to adapt and only make necessary travel. So because they would rather pay for return flights from Lagos to Abuja, for example, which is now about around 300,000, depending on the airline, compared to the yesteryears when it was around 50, 45,000, right? So they would rather pay 300,000 than to pay 5 million naira to as ransom in case someone is kidnapped, God forbid. But that's the situation right now. So as we are seeing with the fuel situation or the petrol situation in the country, people are only making necessary travels, necessary trips. That's what people are making. And so, as it is with the foreign airlines, that's the same with the domestic airlines too. And the exchange rate has also not made it very favorable. So that's why you see some foreign airlines are quoting in dollar so that they can shield their own operations from the naira volatility. And there's also the time when when a lot of the funds from these foreign airlines were blocked and the CBN did not give them dollar to repatriate what they had made from Nigeria, right? So although the CBN has cleared that debt now, just to add, but really, it's not the change in the aviation sector will not just come from the passengers. It will come from everybody, from the airline operators to the passengers and the government.
Great insights. I mean, it's also good to hear that, you know, the minister is already taking steps to engage and push policy that would address this growing issue. So that's all for today. Thank you very much, Sheyi, for joining us on today's episode and for your remarkable insights. To all our listeners, this podcast is by SBM Intelligence. You can access our podcast by searching for SBM Intelligence anywhere you find podcasts. For further insights into our work, you can visit our website at sbmintel.com. Remember to connect with us on social media platforms. You can find us on X, Facebook, LinkedIn at SBM Intelligence. Thank you for tuning in to the week ahead. Join us next Saturday for more updates shaping the African continent.